setting an analogy. You know what an analogy is, Mihira?
Yeah, I know what.
Javed Ossen is a powerful man in a vulnerable situation. My childhood is full of surprises, by the way. I believe that you can become more successful. When I say you have to judge a book by its cover, so I've taught around 30 books in my teaching career, and I advise my students not to look outside of your syllabus. It doesn't matter where you are now, it's all about where you will be, right? I am very lucky to be a literature teacher. Literature is understanding human psychology and applying those psychological points like law. The money and the fame is not going to be there all the time. This one student was like, sir, I believe in you, sir. You can do this.
So today we have here is Jave. So hi Jave.
What's going on, Miran? Hi. So
Yeah.
glad to be here.
So the first thing I want to know, who is Jave? Like why do what do you do? I mean, just give me a proper answer. Like,
Of course, Mihran. Thank you so much for kicking it off. Thank you for having me, by the way. I think that I can give you a good answer to who Javed is by setting an analogy. You know what an analogy is, Mihran?
yeah, I know what's an
If for the people who are watching that don't know what an analogy is, it is when you compare one situation to another situation. So I'm going to talk about this mic, and I've been in front of a microphone 1,000 times, Mihran. Will you believe me? 1,000 times I've been in front of a microphone. But every time I face a mic, it feels like the first time, Mihran. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of people who like teaching, so do the presently every time you should imagine it's the first time because then you can deliver your best, and it's also very exciting. It's like when you are on the stage, right?
It's very exciting. Exactly. That is the word that I want to take from Mihran. The excitement that I feel, the anxiety that I feel when I stand in front of a microphone is it cannot be explained through words. So, as I was saying, it gives you a powerful feeling, but at the same time, it makes you feel very vulnerable. And I love that feeling. So that's the answer, Mihran. Javed Ossen is a powerful man in a vulnerable situation. No, a powerful man who puts himself in vulnerable situations.
And that's a fun of life actually. If it's not vulnerable, there's no fun in it, right?
Absolutely. Life becomes fun when you put yourself in the hot seat. So right now, Mihran has put me on the hot seat. And please go ahead, Mihran. Don't let me interrupt you, bro.
Yeah. So actually, one thing to add is even if you are experienced speaker, you always feel vulnerable. The difference is you are good at hiding the vulnerability. You just act like it's not very vulnerable. But every time I think everyone speaks in front of a mic, they are vulnerable to anything.
Absolutely, Mihran. Even now, tell me about what you feel, Mihran. You also
I think
share
almost,
that emotion. I can totally understand.
Yeah,
you're doing an amazing job, by the way, man. Love the approach. So now that Mihran has introduced me to you guys,
this is a bit of surprise. So I'm Mihran, and I'm normally a university student. I'm just doing this for fun. So I think that's like you are like putting everyone in the surprise. So that's your vulnerability, I guess. Like you like the surprise element, right?
Absolutely, element of surprise. You're right, Mihran.
Yeah. Okay. So now just let's move on. Tell me about the child of the Javed. Like, was there a lot of surprises in your childhood?
Good question. My childhood is full of surprises, by the way. I don't like talking about my childhood, Mihran, because I feel like a lot of people will not benefit out of the past. So I'm someone who believes in the future. So if you focus more on the future, I believe that you can become more successful. Here is how I would like to kick off this session, Mihran. So I want to give you a book. I stole this idea from the previous guy. But I want to ask you, what do you think this book is about?
I think it's a picture. It has a picture of Steve Jobs. So I think it's about Steve Jobs, and then it's written Steve Jobs in there.
That's a brilliant answer, Mihran. This is about Steve Jobs. So do you see that Mihran has judged this book through its cover? And I hear people say that you should never judge a book by its cover, which I think is a bogus advice. The cover is there for a reason, right? So you have to always judge books by their cover. And that is where my philosophy stems from. Think about this, Mihiran. If there's a person who looks like a kudukarya, most probably he's going to be a kudukarya, okay?
Yeah. For the analogy for that, judging by a book, there's no other way to judge it. So I think it's the only way we have is the cover, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Sometimes in life, the only thing that you have is the cover. So make sure that you have the strongest and the most easy to understand cover. And that is what this whole interview is about. It's about establishing the cover and helping the pupil identify what is inside of.
Mostly we hear is do not judge the book by the cover, but what you are saying is judge the book by the cover, right?
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
So just a fun question. How do you judge a book by the cover? How do you apply that in your life?
That's a really thought-provoking question. How is a book judged by the cover? It's not the job of the person who does the judging, Mihiran. It's the person who presents the book. So right now, Mihiran, I am judging you. And equally, even though you would not like to admit it, you are judging me as well.
Yes.
So it's my duty to present the book according to the judgment. So it's not the person who does the judging, it's the person who presents the book. So make sure when you present yourself, you present the best version of yourself. It is not about appearances though. A lot of people think that when I say you have to judge a book by its cover, that I am a very superficial person. Do you know what superficial means, Mihiran?
No. Can you explain?
Absolutely, I respect that. So when Mihiran does not know something, he says he does not know. He doesn't pretend like he knows, and that's a very honorable quality. So people think that when I say that you should judge a book by its cover, that I'm a superficial person. So the meaning of the word superficial means someone who looks at the appearance. So I'm not a superficial person. What I'm trying to communicate is that when you present yourself to society, when you present yourself to your peers, you have to think about the way you communicate. It's not about how you look. You have to think about the way you can add value, Mihiran. So I'm all about adding value. And I think that as a teacher, the primary goal of any teacher should be to add value and to make the life of the students easy. Please continue, Mihiran. You're doing an amazing job.
Yeah. So that's a very good advice. A lot of people advise you don't judge the book by cover, but what you are saying is you have to accept the fact that everyone is judging the book by the cover, and it's your work to present the cover in a good manner, right?
Brilliantly said, Mihiran. Brilliantly said. And it's not only the appearance, it's also about the values that you carry, and it's the way that you communicate.
So now we are having a very good talk about books. I would like to ask a question related to books. So I would like to ask, what are the 5 books you would recommend someone to read, that he should have read these 5 books before dying? Can you?
I love it. So again, the reason why Mihiran has asked me this question is because I am a literature teacher. I don't only teach literature for O-levels, but also A-levels. You can find me physically at Team Comrade, Dehiwala and Dematagoda. I also do O-level literature in Team Comrade Nigambu. So coming back to your question, Mihiran, I teach a lot of books. That is basically 25% of my job. Teach novels and novellas. Novellas are shorter novels.
Okay.
So I've taught around 30 books in my teaching career. So I've been teaching for nearly a decade now. And I think all of those in-syllabus books have made me the person that I am. So I'm actually going to disappoint Mihiran, because he might have thought that I was going to talk about books that inspired my life. But rather, my answer is this, Mihiran: all of the in-syllabus books that I have taught have made me the person that I am. I'll tell you why, by the way. Because when a writer writes a book, He projects a bit of his character into the novel. When a writer puts words on papers, even though it is fictional, he still puts a part of himself into the plot. And that is the main reason why I became a literature teacher. It's to be more empathetic. Empathetic in the sense to be able to understand the emotions of others. So by teaching novels, by teaching the stories written by other people, I have become more empathetic. And I advise my students not to look outside of your syllabus, but look in your syllabus and you find novels, you find novellas, you find biographies, you find extracts that will in fact impact your life and shape the person you are. In the sense, the writers will help you write your own book. And that's the whole point of this conversation.
Yeah, that's a very, very, very interesting answer for that. And like how you like the one thing I kind of noticed from our Javed is that he kind of likes to like, I think it's a trait you get from the literature, right? You try to make your own story out of the questions, who like out of the life stories that you see. That's so like you like to make your own version of the everyday life situations.
Absolutely, well said, Mihiran. So yes, making our own story. So isn't that what we are all trying to do, Mihiran? We're all trying to make our own story. We're all trying to write our own stories. It doesn't matter where you are now. It's all about where you will be, right? So that brings us to one of the very first few questions that you asked me. What about my past? What about my childhood? And I told you, no, Mihiran, I don't want to talk about my childhood. I don't want to talk about the past. I want to focus on the future.
Yeah, and you can make your future, right? It's up to you.
Absolutely. Well said, Mihiran. Your future is in your hands. So make it now. If you're someone young, if you're someone under 20, you have your whole life ahead of you. There is an epic story. There's a Titanic story. There is an Avengers story. There is a Harry Potter story waiting to be written. Write it using your life. Use yourself as the protagonist and write your own story.
Yeah, that's very interesting take, and I think you have already answered this, but I would like you to add more details on this. Like why should someone choose literature? Because there are a lot of other subjects that he can choose. I think you have given the answer, but I would like you to emphasize that on more. Why should someone do this subject literature?
Absolutely. So the first reason is the exam. So you have to get into a university. If you're doing A-level literature, literature will help you get into a university. If you're doing O-level literature, or if you are not sure about choosing O-level literature, this is why, okay? Number one, it enhances your language. So I tell my students this a lot, Mihiran, but literature is a words game. So the more words you know, the easy it is for you to play the literature game. But those words and that logic and that premise will help you in real life. I believe that I have never struggled in a conversation because I always know what to say. And that is a superpower that you get from literature. I'll add to the answer, by the way, Mihiran. Let me add one small detail. If you want to go someplace in life, now when I say someplace, I'm not talking about the toilet. If you want to go places in your life, if you want to become a better person, you get a better job, you want that promotion, you interview people, you are interviewed, you face a lot of situations in life, and the catalyst or the medium is English, right? So it doesn't matter where you go. Now, for example, Mihiran, let's say that you want to migrate to England or Australia. You have to do the IELTS exam, right? So you got to have the edge of English. Your English has to be good. And remember, the IELTS exam is not only a written exam, it's also a one-on-one vocal exam. You have to be able to speak. You have to be able to make sense. And as I was saying, literature enhances the way you speak. It brings you an unprecedented amount of logic, knowledge, and confidence when you speak in English. I've been complimented a lot about the way I speak, and I can tell you, in fact, literature has helped me immensely. I am very lucky to be a literature teacher, because I would not be the man that I am now if not for literature.
Yeah, so what you are like in my head, so I'm like a very new person to this literature. So when we heard the word literature, what comes to our mind is just writing. But now it's not about writing. It's not only about writing actually. It's about speaking. It's also about thinking. Am I right?
You're absolutely right. So I actually tell my students this as well. So literature is not an artistic subject. You don't have to be creative. You don't have to be a writer. You don't have to be able to process thousands of words like a robot. Literature is understanding human psychology and applying those psychological points like law. So literature is actually a lawyer's subject. That means when you approach this subject, when you walk into literature, and when you take the theory with you to the exam, you have to think like a lawyer. So it's not only about writing, it's about logical thinking. It's about analytical deduction. So coming back to the point, you have to also empathize with human emotions. You have to understand human psychology, not just on paper, but in real life. And this will convert you into a perfect literature student. I hope you got the answer for the question,
I think that
Mihiran.
answers, and I got the grasp of the literature subject. So the next one is like, so even if I'm in doing O levels or A levels, I can got to know about this literature subject, and you are doing this for O level students and the A level students. For someone who's interested is like learning the subject from you, I think that's a very good decision to learn the subject from you.
Of course, Mihiran.
So can you tell a little more about how can we learn from you?
Absolutely. So at the moment we teach online and physical, and if you are interested in joining and learning literature from the best, I say that in the most humble way possible, but
I actually witness that you are the best.
Thank you so much. I'm honored, Mihiran. I come from a decade worth of experience. So if you want to learn literature online or physical, you can reach out. I believe that in the description of this video, we will have our contact details. So at the moment, very briefly, let me tell you, I teach in Colombo, Kandy, Nigambu. I teach O-level and A-level literature. And we have planned a bulletproof game plan for the year 2026. So it doesn't matter if you are an O-level literature student or an A-level literature student. We have covered the entire syllabus in an understandable and compact footprint. So the best decision that you can make if you are a literature student is join our program. Once again, the description of this video will have our contact details. And again, if you want to join, remember, physically we teach in Kandy, Colombo and Nigambu, and online we cover the entire island.
Yeah, that's a very good answer. And speaking about the experience, can you tell me a little more about your experience and your past students and how they have performed in the exams, O levels or A levels, and then your teaching experience?
I love it. So let me answer that with a very emotionally charged premise. First of all, let me tell you that a duty of a teacher is to cultivate minds. That means we are not there to make the student's life more difficult. A teacher is not supposed to give homework and threaten the students, penalize and punish the students. The job of a teacher is to make the student's life easier. So let me tell you, once again, Mihiran, we are supposed to cultivate young minds and create value. Therefore, if I were to bring my past experiences onto the table, I'm very proud to tell you that there are 0 students that have failed my subject. And on top of that, a lot of students have used literature not only in the exam, but they have used the subject to become a better version of themselves. So I hope you got the answer to the question, Mihiran. Let me sum up my answer again. No fails, many A's, uncounted number of A's and B's. And on top of that, literature will help you in your real life. And that is why I'm a proud teacher, not because of myself, Mihiran, but because of my students. Please continue.
Yeah, that's a very good phrase from a teacher, that he is proud about his students. So again, going to your students, like, can you tell us me about how your student life would be in your class, and how you plan, like, the A-levels is quite a long exam, like he has to study for a long period of time. So how is your game plan works in your class for this subject?
I love the premise of that question. So first of all, if you are a student who are learning A-levels, your life is already very tough. So we don't have to make your life more difficult. The first thing is, we do not pressure the students. Learning doesn't have to be a penalty, Mihiran. It doesn't have to be a punishment. Rather, it is a reward in itself, because learning will make you the best version of yourself. So firstly, we mitigate the pressure that the student is under. Now, you know, right, Mihiran, the A-levels is an outstandingly tough period for a young student. And I know this because I have been a teacher for the past decade, and I have seen students suffer. So I don't want my students to suffer. We make everything easy. We make the theory and the concepts and even the answering circuits. So when we do past paper questions, we make everything easy. I don't like using this word, but we spoon feed the syllabus to the student, not because our students are mentally incapacitated. We spoon feed the syllabus because we want to make the student's life easy. And I believe, as a teacher, if you're watching this and you are a teacher, that must be your primary goal, making the student's life easy, not bombarding the students with homework, not calling them stupid, not punishing them physically, mentally, verbally. If you're a teacher, your job is to make the student's life easy.
Yeah.
Please continue, Mihiran.
Yeah. I think that's a very, very good saying, that the teacher's main task is making the student's life easy, and I know that you are doing that greatly.
Thank you so much, Mihiran.
So next thing is, like, if let's say there's some student that who likes to do these 4 A levels, but he has not done O-level literature. What do you think, that can he do these 4 A levels?
I love the premise of the question. Absolutely. You don't have to have a background in literature to be a student. You don't even have to have the best English. So it's the teacher's job to educate the student. So we will take care of it. All you have to do is walk in. You can walk in physically. You can be present online. But let the teacher take care of the rest. The student doesn't have to have any kind of a background in O-level literature. We don't need grade 6, grade 7, grade 8 literature. We will do an outstanding job teaching A-level literature and even O-level literature. All you have to do is be present, and everything else we will take care of.
Yeah, that's a very, very, very interesting thing. And like, I really love his confidence that he is sure that he is one of the greatest teachers, and I can actually feel that in the environment, how he much love teaching. Like, he just, like, it's very hard to find people these days that who really love their jobs, and especially teachers, because some, even they are teachers, they don't like to teach, but I can feel that you love to teach, right?
Absolutely, Miran. It is. Please continue. Is that the question?
No, I just want to give you a compliment that how
thank you so much.
How passionate you are. So like I think that everyone of audience gets the idea like why he should why someone should do the literature for their exams and why he should choose him.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let me add to Mihran's compliment. A lot of people think that, we teach for the money and we teach for the fame. But what happens when money and fame is not there? There are thousands, no, tens of thousands of teachers in English medium who don't see profit, who do not become famous. Then what's the point, right? Let me tell you, if you are not passionate about teaching, there's no point of becoming a teacher because the money and the fame is not going to be there. It's a nearly empty classroom with a lot of dreams and a lot of hard work that a teacher will begin with. So my advice is, if you are not passionate about teaching, I tell my students this all the time, my advice is, if you are not passionate about teaching, do not become a teacher. Don't do it for the money. Don't do it for the fame and recognition. Do it because you love teaching. Because as always, the money and the fame is not going to be there all the time.
That's really true. And if you actually if you love teaching, I think money and fame will come as a reward, right?
Hopefully, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. It still hasn't, but hopefully it will, okay?
I'm sure it will, and you will definitely get the fame for sure. So I would like to ask you like a little bit of story. Who's the most memorable student you had?
That's I love that question. So unfortunately, I have my first student ever. And Javed sir is full of sad stories, okay? That's why I don't talk about the past. So like I said many years ago, I'm talking about like 10 years ago, I entered a classroom and there were only 3 students. And 2 of those 3 students did not get my passion. But one student did, and his name was Tivanka. This was when I taught in Sinhala medium, by the way. So I've come through a very long journey. And I remember when other students did not believe in me, this one student was like, sir, I believe in you, sir. You can do this. Let's start something new, sir. Keep pushing, sir. You are the best teacher according to my book, said Tivanka. And unfortunately, he passed away. He had a heart condition. So I cannot forget my first student for 2 reasons. One, because he believed in me when the others did not. And 2, he went too soon. And that brings us into the journey of life and the story that you are writing. Sometimes people will leave, not because they are bad people, but because they have no option. And when they leave, try to grasp the memory and the impression that they have left behind, because that will make your life story a lot more stronger. That will make your life story a story worth living. Continue, Mihran. I hope you got the answer.
Yeah, that's a very sad story, but it also has that cool idea like how the life works. And I think literature is about all stories like this, right? There's a lot of sad stories, there's a lot of happy stories in literature. And one thing is that every happy or sad story should come to an end. To end this discussion, I would like to ask one thing. If you can say one lesson in you that you learned your life, or one motto. So I would like to ask, what is the one sentence that you always remember and that has helped you and that you keep as a motto of your life?
That's brilliant. It's a very emotional and personal question. So I remember my dad used to say, prevention is better than cure. And to this day, I carry that with me. So how does this tie into literature? I will explain. But if you can prevent something, or if you can do something now, it's always better than regretting later. So once again, prevention is better than cure. When I was a kid, my dad would tell me, Javed, prevention is better than cure. If you boil down the meaning of it, if you can do something now that will make your future easier, why don't you do it? So let's look at this interview right now. Is this easy? It's not, Mihran, right? There are easier things than this. But we're doing this now so that our future will become easier. So let me modify what my dad said and let me reiterate it for my students. Action now is better than action later. So that is the motto that I live by, Mihran. And thank you so much for triggering that memory, because Dad used to tell me prevention is better than cure. If you can prevent something now, it's better than regretting it later. And what I tell you is action now is better than action later, because if you perform your actions now and you do what makes you uncomfortable, you do what makes you struggle, you do what makes you doubt yourself now, the future is going to become easy. So like I said, Mihran, I don't like talking about the past, but I love the future. But in order to make your future successful, you have to focus on the present.
We had a very roller coaster manner journey. We had a lot of emotions. I think that's the core of the literature. You feel that throughout the literature. Literature is full of emotions. Literature is full of relations. Sometimes you lose the relations, and sometimes you gain new relationships in the life.
Absolutely, like we have, right, Mihran?
Yeah. And I'd like to thank you again for that very, very wonderful and very insightful talk we had. And
Thank you so much. I'm honored. I'm really honored to be here.
And thank you. Let's meet sometime again.
Absolutely, Mihran. Thank you for having me. So again, if you guys want to join Javed sir's classes online, we teach the entire island physically. Team Comrade is the place. If you want more details about our classes, click the link or the description in this video, and I will see you in our class.